El siguiente espacio es un programa pagado y las opiniones emitidas en el mismo no representan la opinión de CBBA Radio ni de sus patrocinadores.
Hello, Houston. This is Elizabeth Miranda, or just Liz Miranda, as my friends call me. And I want to welcome you to our show, Casa Y Vida, Houston. We are so excited to be here on CBBA Radio, and I want to thank each and every one of you again for being here. Please share our link to, for anyone that you think might be interested. Please make sure that you comment also. We would love to hear what you have to say about our show. As the name implies, Casa Y Vida Houston, we will be talking about real estate. That's the casa part. The vida part is we will be talking about just life in general in Houston, so community. So hope you will join us. We will be on CBBA Radio every Thursday at 1 o'clock in English, and then we will be on at 1:30 in Spanish. Para ustedes que nos estén escuchando en español, quiero decirles que este programa estará en vivo a la 1:30 hoy el jueves. Cada jueves estaremos con ustedes a la 1:30 en español. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our show. My first guest on our show is none other than my good friend and colleague Susie Condelopoulos. Welcome, Susie.
Well, thank you, Liz. I'm so excited to be here today with you. It's your first show, and I couldn't be more honored to be here with you and to share all the information that we have for real estate here in Houston.
Thank you, Susie. Well, Susie, would you tell us, of course, what company you're with and what you do?
So I'm with Gateway Mortgage. I'm a senior loan officer. I've been a loan officer in Houston for over 20 years. I help people get qualified and pre-approved to purchase a house or refinance.
Okay, well, that's very important, guys. The reason that I decided to have Susie on, or, as a loan officer, is because I talk to people every day that are looking to buy a home. And it still surprises me that so many people don't know that the first step in buying a home is to get pre-approved for a home loan. Quite often, people will call me, Susie, that, they want to buy a home, and they say, hey, I want to go look at a home. And I ask them if they've been pre-approved, and quite often, half of the time, the answer is no.
Right.
And so I always tell them, you've got to get pre-approved. Now, there's a few reasons. One of the reasons is because, well, first of all, you need to know that you're approved for a loan, that you actually can get approved. You might have a good credit score, but there are a lot of other factors that they take into consideration. So you want to make sure that you can get pre-approved. The second thing is you want to know how much you qualify for. You don't want to be looking at homes that are over your price range. So you always want to know how much you qualify for. And then most importantly is that as a realtor, if I'm going to show you homes and submit an offer on your behalf, I have to have a pre-approval letter that I'm going to send off with your offer. So you must get pre-approved first. So therefore, that is very important. That's what I thought is the first subject that we need to talk about on our show. So Susie, would you tell us, since you're the person that people call,
right,
what is the application process? What does a person need to do to get pre-approved for a loan?
So the first step, the first thing that everyone needs to do when they want to buy a house is we need to find out, as Liz just said, you need to find out if you are qualified first. So that means we need to take a full application with your basic information, your name, your date of birth, your social security, your address, where you work, and basic information, and then the permission to pull your credit report. We're going to pull your credit report to see where your credit is. And then when we find out what the points are, what your credit score is, then we can tell you if you're qualified and you're ready to start the pre-approval process. So there's a difference between qualification and pre-approval.
And what is that difference? What is the difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval?
So the qualification is the application and pulling your credit, looking at the credit score, and also on that application we will ask where you work and how much you make and how much do you have in assets. Do you have money yet? Have you saved any money for your down payment and closing costs? So that's qualification. We review the whole application, credit score. If your credit score is within the minimum guidelines and you make enough money to support the new house payment and your current debt, then we say, okay, now you're qualified.
Okay.
That's qualification. Then on the pre-approval, then we will ask to see your documents, your income documents, your asset documents, your driver's license. We may ask for a month of pay stubs, 2 years tax returns, W-2s, and 2 months of bank statements. Once we review all of your documentation, then we can tell you if you're really pre-approved, and then we would issue you the pre-approval letter.
Okay, well, that sounds like a long process. Is it a long process?
It is not that long. It does sound like a lot. I know it could be overwhelming, especially for first-time home buyers, and that's okay. We're going to hold your hand through the process, and that will take, well, you can get qualified in 1 day, in half a day, in a few hours. Okay. Then we'll ask for your documents. You should be able to get pre-approved in 24 hours.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds pretty good. See, guys, so it's not that difficult. Sometimes people just don't want to go through the process, but really it's not that hard, and it's it's a very important first step. So let me ask you this, Susie. Is credit score just enough? I mean, some people will tell me, oh, I'm not going to have a problem getting pre-approved because I have a very good credit score. Is credit score enough?
No, that's just one part of it. So the other part is making sure that you can support the debt, the new payment, your new house payment, plus your current debt. That means anything on that credit report, your car payment, any credit cards, any student loans. We will take that existing debt and put the new payment, and then we will see how much you make. Can you support the debt? So it's credit, then your income, and then your assets. Then it's how much do you have? Do you have enough money for down payment and closing costs? So there's several pieces there, several parts.
Okay. Well, speaking of down payment and closing costs, do people need down payment? Let's talk about down payment first.
Yes. Okay. So the minimum down payment you're going to need is, if you do an FHA loan, it's 3.5%. If you do a conventional loan, normally it's 5% at least down payment. If you happen to be a veteran of the armed forces and we do a VA loan, that is 100% financing. There is no down payment, but you still would have to pay closing costs.
Okay. And so I'm sorry, did you say, you said it's 3.5% for an FHA?
FHA is a government-backed loan. It's very common. A lot of lenders will use the FHA loan for first-time home buyers because the FHA loan only requires 3.5% and also has more flexible guidelines to get you qualified and approved. That's the FHA loan.
Sounds good. And now what about closing costs? You mentioned closing costs. What are we looking at there?
So closing costs, you're looking at the fees for the lender, and those all vary from lender to lender. Pretty much the same, but they will vary a little bit. Then you have title fees. Those are pretty standard in the industry. Title fees, and then you have also what we call prepaids. That is escrow. Those are funds that we set aside for reserves to start your escrow account. Escrow means taxes and insurance for your property, for your new home. So closing costs would be the lender fees plus the title fees. Then we have the prepaids. That is all. People will use that closing cost for all three parts of the closing costs. They'll lump them together. They're actually 3 separate fees. So on that, you're looking anywhere from, depending on the type of loan, for conventional or FHA, you're looking anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000.
In closing costs?
In closing costs. So that's closing costs, plus you have to have a down payment.
Okay. Now, can people borrow this money? Can they borrow their down payment and their closing costs?
Normally, no. Most lenders do not allow for you to borrow funds for down payment. Down payment funds need to come from your own savings, your own bank accounts. It can come from retirement funds, 401k funds, can come from a gift. A lot of programs allow gift funds. And then, of course, we also have down payment assistance programs We have several different programs that we work with. A lot of lenders work with them, and they are from either, most of them are from the state of Texas or through a nonprofit or the state.
Okay, so can you tell us about those down payment assistance programs? Those sound very interesting.
Oh, yes, they're very interesting. A lot of people are interested in them. We have a lot of experience in them. The down payment program, you can apply. You do have to have a lot of times a minimum credit score. I work with 5 or 6 different programs. I do have a program that goes down to 600. That's the HAT program. Most of them you need, and there's another one that is 620. That's the TDHCA program. And then you also, most of the other ones you need a 640. And then you are limited on the income. So most of the programs will go up to $82,000 for household income for FHA loans. On a conventional loan, a lot of them go up to $114,000. So the down payment is very accessible to a lot of people, a large portion of the market.
Do you find that, so you do find that a lot of people do qualify for the down payment assistance programs?
I really do. I have there's a lot of first-time home buyers that do qualify for those down payment assistance programs.
Okay. Well, that's great information. Let me ask you one thing. I'm sure a lot of people that are online might be curious. Do you have any programs for people that have the ITIN number? In other words, they don't have a social.
They don't have a social. That's a great question. I get that as well. You get it all the time, every day. Our company does not have an ITIN program, but we do have access. So don't let that stop you. We have resources. We have several referral partners that we can refer people to for the ITIN program.
Okay, well, not a problem. So if that's your situation, that you've got an ITIN, don't worry. Like she says, she's got someone who she can refer you to. I also know of some excellent lenders that can also work with you with the ITIN. But I ask that because I know that a lot of people
Yes.
want to know that.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you this, Susie. What about if you have a couple, and let's say one person has a Social Security number and the other person has an ITIN? Would you be able to work with them then?
Well, I can definitely work with a couple where one of them has a social and one of them doesn't. We would just try and qualify and approve the person that has the Social Security. If they qualify alone, then I can still help them.
Oh.
And if that's not, then we refer them to our referral partner.
Okay. So it's not always the case where both people have to be on the loan. Is that correct?
That's right. That is a good point. Not at all times do they both have to be on the loan. You can have it where just one of the spouses qualifies, and that's okay, because after they will not be on the loan, the other spouse, but they can definitely be added to the deed of trust, to the title of the property.
Okay. And what about if you have a couple that maybe one person has good credit and the other person has bad credit? Would you be able to work with them?
We can also do that as well, because it could be that we can work with the one spouse that does have the good credit, and that one spouse a lot of times will qualify a loan for the loan to buy a house. And again, we just have that one spouse on the loan that qualifies and is approved, and the other one can go on the deed of trust after we purchase the house.
Okay. And one last question that's very important. How long does the closing take? Let's say that I have someone who wants to buy a house. We put them in a contract today.
Yes.
And how long is that closing going to take?
That normally takes about 30 days. 30 days, we can normally do that. If it's an FHA loan, we may need a few days. Very maximum, very tops. My company, we can do it 30, 35 days very easily on FHA. Some companies may want 45 days, but not more than that.
Okay. Well,
30 days is the standard in the industry.
Well, it sounds wonderful. Well, Susie, you've given us a lot of information.
Thank you.
And if someone wants to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
Oh, they can always get a hold of me. The best contact number is my cell number, and that's 281-250-2696. That's my cell phone number.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Susie. Susie, I want to thank you so much for being with us on our first segment of Casa Y Vida Houston. And we're going to go ahead and take a little break now, and then we will be right back with you. Don't leave us. We'll be back with another guest.
Thank you.
Si el techo de tu casa, negocio o de tu bodega fue dañado por algún desastre natural, llama ya a los expertos al 713-228-3030 y haz tu cita ya. Vamos hasta donde te encuentres y te hacemos una evaluación gratis. Llámanos 713-228-3030. Nosotros pelearemos por ti con la aseguranza y conseguiremos lo que tú necesitas. Llama ya a los expertos en casos de tormenta. 713-228-3030.
No dejes que tu evento solo sea local y quede en el olvido. CBBA Production te transmite a todo el mundo tu conferencia, certamen de belleza, quinceañeras o cualquier tipo de evento que tengas totalmente en vivo a través de Facebook, YouTube y cbbaradio.com. Te garantizamos los precios más accesibles de todo Houston. Para mayor información, llámanos al 281-745-4309 o escríbenos a info@cbbaproduction.com.
Well, welcome back to Casa Y Vida Houston. I am Liz Miranda, your bilingual realtor. And so we are here with our second segment of the show, which is the Vida Houston. And I want to welcome our guest, Jose Manuel Diaz. Welcome, Jose.
Thank you for having me.
You are very, very welcome. Well, one of the things is, first of all, I want to tell you that Jose is actually going to be a contributor or co-host of our show. But I thought we would take this opportunity to introduce him to you and find out what it is that he does. Now, he does many things, of course, but we want to talk about one of the things that he does today, which is an organization that he belongs to or he's founded. He'll tell us a little bit more about it. Jose, will you tell us about that organization and what you do?
Sure. Well, our organization is called Orale, and we can be found online at Orale Houston on Facebook. And what we are is we're a group that came together. I've been working on projects in the community for the last 4 years, and this year in November we finally formed our organization formally. And what we do is we fill in little gaps in the community that we feel aren't being addressed, mostly with students. In some form. Our biggest project that we've done and the picture that people are seeing has to do with our Holiday Hopes program, which takes place in December. So a little bit of more information on that. What we do is we adopt a whole school in the southwest side. It's called Las Americas Newcomer School. It's a school that a lot of people may not have heard of. And what the reason we adopt that school is because a lot of those kids are very needy. You have kids from all over the world. This school houses particularly first-year immigrant students. Mm-hmm. So a lot of them have come from they speak 29 different languages. So you have refugees, you have some students that might not have status, and you have just regular students that have migrated from across the world and are learning intensive English. So a lot of them, it doesn't really matter what country you come from. When you start here, if it's your first year here, you're starting from square one, from nothing. So a lot of these kids have very basic needs. So what we do is we try to bridge this gap by doing a Christmas program for them. We find sponsors for every student. This is a great project because we can get the community involved. It's not, we don't ask people, hey, can you donate us money so we can do this project? We actually reach out into the community and say, hey, do you want to be a part of this program? Would you like to sponsor a kid? We can connect you. And for those that want to actually show up to our event, they can show up and actually physically hand their presents to the kid so they can see where their donation is actually going.
Well, that sounds like very, very interesting. And so you've already had your, you said you had your Christmas event this December. That's the picture that we saw earlier, correct?
Yes, those pictures are from our Christmas event that just took place this last December. Like I said, it started in 2014. It was just kind of a whim that the school social worker, reached out. They had some kids that, their kids, like I said, a lot of them don't have their basic needs met. So when it comes to an event like this, what we do is we ask our donors, if they can do about 3 gifts, 2 needs and a want. And some of these needs, like I said, are basic needs: pillows, blankets, sometimes just silverware.
Wow. What about what do you have planned for 2018 or anything that you're working on right now?
For 2018, our next project coming up is we work with another school. It's called Middle College High School at HCC Gulfston, and this is also another school. It's in the same part of town actually, and some of the students that have been at that school actually end up at the high school. And what we do for them is we adopt the school again, and this one we do their prom. Everything from dressing them, like we request dresses for the young ladies, to suits for the men. And I say suits, not necessarily tuxes, because what we try to do is we try to set them up for success. Because after prom, you know, you're graduating, and so it's about having a well-fitted suit so that they have something they can go do interviews with, whether they be college interviews, whether they be job interviews. But we want to set these young men up for success, and we do take in donations for the young ladies as far as work clothes as well, so they have interview clothes, and that's how it started, and it's evolved to where we adopt the whole school and we put on the whole prom. We get a venue donated. The kids work with us to find resources on their own also for like food, and if they don't have that, then that's again where we step in and help them out.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. So what you do is you basically have adopted a school. The school, and I'm sorry, what's the name of the school again?
It's the Middle College High School at HCC Gulfston.
Okay, so you've adopted the school basically, and what you do is you get clothes for them for their prom. So you gather dresses for the ladies and suits for the young men. Is that correct, for their prom?
Yes.
And is this actually people bring the items or they purchase them? Which one is it?
Again, it's similar to the other event where I like the interaction between the donors and the students. So a lot of them, you know, I have plenty of suits in my closet that I don't wear anymore. I don't fit in, you know, time's gone by. So I will donate those to the young men, and a lot of we have different drives, like a fraternity helps us out, and they'll donate their suits as well. And so it's not it's not one of these things where we ask for money. We ask for assistance. So if somebody wants to purchase a suit, or if they want to donate a gently worn one, then that's the kind of help we ask for.
I see. And then as far as their prom, what is it that you're doing as far as the prom? You said you're going to get a location, and you also take care of the food and the entertainment, etc. Is that what you do?
In years past, we've assisted in all aspects of it. We've been fortunate to have a donor, Cristina Morales with the Morales Funeral Home, has allowed us to use the Morales Radio Hall for events.
Oh, wow,
and
that's nice.
it's a beautiful venue. We've had 3 proms there now, and so what we do is if there's a need, we've had people donate their time as DJs, or even my friends have filled in as DJs, and you know, it's been pretty fun. The kids have a great time. But as far as food, there's companies that have donated food and cakes. You know, you mentioned I do a lot of things. My business, Buenos Dias, has donated cakes to this school for prom. So it's a truly community-born effort.
All right. Well, sounds like you're doing a great job, Jose. And thank you for doing that, of course. How can someone contact you if they're interested in participating in this organization?
For those that are interested in contacting me, they can go to facebook.com/Orale Houston, and we can be found on most social media as at Orale Houston.
Okay, well, thank you so much. So thank you for bringing us that information. Now, of course, as I mentioned earlier, Jose is also going to be one of our contributors on this show. So we will always have a segment. Our first segment will always be real estate, and our second segment will always be Vida Houston. So Jose, what can we expect for you to do for us on the Vida Houston segment in the coming weeks?
Well, I like to be out in the community, so I mean, this can be anything from I might show you my favorite taco places to eat, because my friends and I we're known for enjoying great meals, to other organizations that are doing great work in the city. So I mean, it's going to be a little bit of everything. It's exactly what you say Casa Y Vida, and this is the Vida part. It's just life in Houston.
Exactly. Well, yes, absolutely. We thought that was very important that we have a show where we can also feature people in the community, because the community is very important. I think that homes are very important to the community, and the community is just very important to families. So I think it's just something that's very important. I want to ask you guys if you want to if you have any suggestions as far as people that we can interview on this show, please let us know. Please send your comments. If you know of any maybe new restaurants that have opened up, any businesses that have just opened up, any organizations that are out there in the community doing things that other people need to know about, let us know. Share that information. Give us your comments. Give us your opinions. We truly value you. We can't promise we're going to have everyone on the show, but hey, we're going to be here every week. So we definitely want to feature some of the people that you recommend. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to have this show in English and in Spanish. So it doesn't matter if the person you're recommending speaks English and Spanish. We can take care of it. And of course, Jose speaks Spanish also, as you will see in our next segment when we go on when we go into the Spanish section. All right. Well, this is it for now. I want to say thank you, Jose, for being here on our show and for being one of our future contributors. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. The time has gone by so fast. Thank you so much for joining us on our first show. Again, remember, we're going to be live every Thursday at 1 o'clock in English and then at 1:30 in Spanish. See you next week.